calculus teacher pointed to the janitor as a joke in front of the class, but when the man quietly walked up to the board and solved the problem better than anyone expected, it didn't just silence the room, it changed the way the entire school saw him. It was fourth period on a Thursday at Eisenberg High in Elkhart, Indiana, the kind of day where students glance at the clock more than they do the board. Mr. Braddock, the school's calculus teacher, had a reputation. Sharp-tongued, impatient, and always quick with sarcasm. He wasn't particularly liked, but he wasn't hated either, just endured. The classroom felt dry, equations filled the whiteboard, the air smelled faintly of eraser dust and worn-out sneakers. Phones were tucked under desks, some pretending to pay attention, others staring out the window. Then, something happened that would shift the atmosphere like a sudden wind. As Mr. Braddock scribbled another derivative on the board, a faint squeak echoed from the hallway. The janitor was nearby, mopping outside the classroom with his usual slow, steady rhythm. Braddock paused mid-sentence, glanced at the door, and cracked a half smile. Without warning, he turned to the class and pointed toward the hallway. "Well, look who's here, Mr. Dorsey. Tell me, you think you can solve this one?" He topped the board with the back of his marker like he was issuing a challenge on a game show. Laughter broke out, not roaring, but the kind that makes you shift in your seat because you're not sure if it's okay. Mr. Braddock smirked again. "Come on, Lamar. You always look like you got something on your mind." Lamar Dorsey, the 52-year-old janitor, stood in the hallway with his mop in hand. He wore the same forest green uniform he always did, clean but faded with El Paso wrap.
Dorsey stitched over his chest pocket. He didn't blink, didn't flinch. He just looked into the room, then slowly he stepped in. The mop leaned against the wall. A few students sat up straighter. Some thought he was about to say something smart back and leave. Maybe he'd crack a joke or just walk away, but he didn't. Instead, Lamar walked to the front of the room. "You mind?" he asked, calmly gesturing to the board. Braddock raised his brows. "Be my guest." A few phones slid quietly out from backpacks. One girl whispered, "Is he serious?" But nobody stopped Lamar. He picked up the marker, looked at the equation, and paused. Not out of hesitation, more like he was thinking deeply, like someone reading a familiar map. He squinted just slightly, then began to write. No showmanship, no flair, just deliberate strokes, one line after another. The room fell into an eerie stillness. The only sounds were the marker on the whiteboard and a chair creaking as someone leaned forward. Mr. Braddock crossed his arms, watching closely. His expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. Lamar broke down the steps out loud, his voice low and patient. "See this? Here's a chain rule problem, but the trick is recognizing the inner function first. Once you isolate that, it becomes a lot cleaner." He moved like he'd done this before, not just the problem, but the teaching. His tone wasn't showy or smug. He explained things simply, clearly, like he'd spent more time teaching than mopping. When he finished, he capped the marker and stepped back. The board was filled with precise, well-organized work. He turned to Braddock, then to the class. "That's one way to do it," he said. And for a moment, no one moved. A junior in the back whispered, "He got it right." Mr. Braddock didn't say a word. Not immediately. His mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. The silence grew louder than any joke he could have made. Lamar nodded politely and walked back to the door, picked up his mop. No applause, no boast, just that quiet confidence, like he hadn't just turned the room upside down.
But as Lamar reached for the chalk, nobody expected what would come next. Nobody moved for a full 10 seconds. It felt like the class had been yanked out of a dream and dropped into something real. The kind of moment that doesn't belong in a high school classroom. Lamar Dorsey, Mr. Dorsey as they'd always called him in passing, was halfway out the door when someone said it out loud. Wait, he just did that in his head? It was Wes Hanley, a senior in the front row, who usually didn't talk unless grades were involved. He wasn't joking. His eyes were wide. He looked at the board again like the answer might have changed while he blinked. Braddock finally spoke. His voice was flat, almost irritated. Well, he got the right answer, but his tone didn't carry the usual sarcasm. Something else had slipped in, something closer to confusion, or worse, discomfort. Lamar glanced back. I spent a lot of time with numbers a long time ago, he said, then gave a small shrug. They never left. A few students laughed, not at him this time, but because the tension was cracking. Lamar didn't wait for a response. He left mop in hand, shoes squeaking softly down the hallway like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just solved a college-level problem in under 3 minutes without so much as a calculator. That's when the phones came out. Someone had filmed the whole thing. Carly Benson, Jr., third row. And she was already editing the clip before the bell even rang. In the hallway between periods, it was all anyone could talk about. Did you see Mr. Dorsey? Braddock's face, man, looked like someone unplugged him. Where'd he learn that stuff? I thought he just cleaned floors. By lunch, the video had made it onto TikTok, then Instagram. It wasn't polished, just a shaky angle of Lamar's hands moving across the board while a voice in the background whispered, "He's solving it." The caption read, "Our janitor just smoked the calculus teacher." Some laughed, some stared, but the buzz kept growing in the teacher's lounge. Things weren't much quieter. "You're telling me he did a full derivative chain problem in his head?" asked Miss Lynn, the physics teacher. She was mid-bite into her sandwich, but had stopped chewing. "He did," muttered Mr. Cream, the English teacher. "Didn't use notes, didn't even pause. It was like muscle memory." Braddock was at the corner table pretending to grade papers. He didn't say anything, but Principal Everett did. "He's been here 6 years. No one ever mentioned he had an academic background." People shook their heads. Nobody really knew much about Lamar. He came in early, left late. Floors were always clean. Light bulbs never burned out more than a day. The man worked in silence. But now, he wasn't just the man behind the mop. Back in the hallway, a group of students waited outside the janitor's closet, not to complain about a spill or ask for a broom. They just wanted to talk to him. One kid, 12 years old, clutching his geometry book, asked, "Do you tutor, Mr. Dorsey?" Lamar blinked. "I haven't in a long time." "You should," the kid said. That was cool. Lamar chuckled, but it didn't feel dismissive, just surprised. In third period the next day, Braddock's mood was different. He didn't crack jokes. He didn't call on anyone randomly. He taught with his eyes fixed on the board, his voice more restrained than usual. Nobody said it outright, but everyone noticed. After class, Wes walked up to him. "Mr. Braddock, that thing with Mr. Dorsey yesterday, he used the same method you showed us last week, the chain rule, right?" Braddock nodded once. "Correct, only he explained it better." Braddock didn't answer, but what truly shocked him wasn't the solution. It was what Lamar said afterward. Lamar Dorsey hadn't planned on making a scene. He never liked being the center of attention, not since he was young. So when students started waiting by the maintenance closet just to talk, or when teachers gave him long looks in the hallways, he felt off balance. He kept his head down and went about his usual routine, refilling paper towels, fixing a leaky faucet in the boys' locker room, wiping down cafeteria tables. But he could feel it. Change. A shift in how people looked at him, like they were trying to fit him into a new picture they hadn't known existed. It wasn't just curiosity. It was confusion, respect, regret maybe, and it made him uneasy. That afternoon, Principal Everett asked him to stop by the front office. He walked in, still wearing his gloves, uniform a little damp from cleaning under the cafeteria sinks. He removed his cap as a sign of respect. Everett leaned forward in his chair, hands clasped. "Lamar, can I ask you something? Do you have a background in education or engineering?" Lamar hesitated. He looked down for a second, like dusting off an old part of himself he hadn't visited in years. "I went to Purdue," he said quietly. "Mechanical engineering. Full ride." The principal leaned back, eyebrows raised. "You serious?" Lamar said he had plans. Things got complicated, and for the first time in a long while, he told the story. He'd grown up in Gary, Indiana. Smart kid, always loved how things worked. Motors, pulleys, anything he could take apart and put back together. His mother, Estelle, raised him and his 2 sisters on her own. She worked overtime at a textile plant and still found time to read to them every night. She believed in education like it was the only way out. Books first, always, she used to say. The world will try to shut the door, but if you bring your own key, they can't stop you. Lamar earned that key. Valedictorian, state science fair winner, and then that scholarship to Purdue. Freshman year, he was already tutoring classmates. Professor saw his name on the attendance sheet and paid attention. But sophomore year, he got a call that changed everything. His mother had collapsed at work. Doctors said it was late-stage cancer.